So I'm going to turn it over to Tim because Tim, you've lived this as a superintendent and you've seen models of it. I'd love for you to give us some examples of, what does this look like in action?
Thank you, Janet, and thank you for the opportunity of just sharing some insight. I will draw on some amazing leaders that are all over the country. I'll tell you, you and I both know as a privilege to be a leader coach with student education, we are in the presence of some amazing leaders who draw on some of these principles to motivate and move their work in a positive way. And I just wanted to bring attention to three that I've had the pleasure of working with and coaching with. And I'll tell you that these are examples that you will see almost in every school system. There are leaders out there who really draw attention to accountability and use it in some really profitable ways. I really want to focus on three. The first I want to talk about is just that using accountability for just transparency and just building that vulnerability, of building that leader efficacy through that transparent work and showing our work in a way that's moving our systems profitably forward. And then I'm reminded of Rob Clayton over in Warren County. And Rob, if you've never met Rob, you need to come to What's Right in Education or just get in his presence. He's just one of those individuals that just motivates you by listening to him talk. And Rob in Warren County says, stoplight reports, he uses those and he bases those on those short cycle reviews, and he posts all that information to stakeholders, and then he goes over it. He shares positive and work abilities to work on those pieces of work. He clearly defines his work in a statement he uses often. He says the message matters and accountability matters. And so if we have a message of accountability, we want to make sure we tell it and tell it well. And he continually leads his team to take that message, take those accountability pieces inside their short cycle work, and then develop some really solid action plans for him. And then he transparently shares where he has been successful and sometimes where he has to continue to move forward in a profitable way. Rob really does set the tone for that engaged leader and using accountability in a very transparent way. And then I'm reminded of Matt Pierce over in Republic and just outside of Springfield, Missouri. And Matt intentionally uses accountability for an engagement tool to build that engagement. His core value right now is to engage, build ownership. So that ownership really drives his work. And so he builds that ownership to the strategic plan and to his scorecard by just facing those brutal facts of accountability of where they are and where they are going. Often I'll hear Matt talk about the results of survey work that he uses inside of his district. And he'll say to his leadership team, it's not where we want, but it's what we need to hear. And that's a real powerful comment to lead leaders in that work. And then I'm reminded of Bradley Roberson out in Oxford, Mississippi. And Bradley really engages his team and leads them into leadership mentoring through accountability work. He faces those brutal facts directly and head on, and his team does as well. And Oxford really develops this system of Bradley sitting down with his leaders and doing these check-ins. And it is that effort of looking into the mirror and seeing exactly what they need to see as a reflective tool, then building back to those scorecards, of course. It really is an effort to be very reflective with leaders. And Bradley encourages them to just embrace the data, look at it, good and bad. And of course, he uses that to build mentorship among his leaders, and then they replicate that work by building mentorship inside those they are leading at his school sites. I'm encouraged that Bradley then takes that reflexive action and brings it back to action plans, both personal and organizational, that really bring this robust attitude of the data is making a difference. And so as you can see, accountability is not a negative word in these three examples. It's just very positive, embracing transparency, building engagement, and lastly, of course, building mentorship to lead leaders to be better leaders as part of our developing people to be great leaders. Janet, these are really good examples.
Yeah, so good.
Gail and others can share multiple examples about that, but I really thought it was a spotlight to our work at Student Ed.
Yeah, That's so good. And Kim, just really thinking, I mean, they all three have an unbelievable improvement mindset, right? They're just constantly focusing on the brutal facts of the data, and brutal facts in a positive way, like really, really diving deep into that and continuing to improve, and engaging people with them in those conversations to improve. So good there.